They have called out for the last time. Imagine that thunderous announcement echoing through the corridors of tennis history, sending shockwaves of both disbelief and sadness. For over 148 years, Wimbledon has prided itself on its pristine grass courts, elegantly uniformed line judges, and a sense of tradition as classic as strawberries and cream. Now, that cherished scene has been transformed. Those trusty officials, once fixtures in the corners and sidelines, have stepped aside for a wave of electronic innovation. Today we are dissecting a phenomenon that has pitted time-honored spectacle against the unstoppable momentum of technology. An evolution powered by artificial intelligence, new audio systems, and, yes, a future that some find electrifying and others find unnerving. What exactly is happening behind the gates of the All England Club? And why are even the fans, the very souls supposedly cheering on modernization, torn in their opinions? Over 1 century of impeccable pageantry slammed into the bright glare of an electronic line calling system. Is the tennis world ready for such a dramatic change? Or are we fretting over lost traditions that gave Wimbledon its old world charm? In this deep dive, we will explore how line judges have vanished from center stage, replaced by multiple cameras and near-silent speakers. How some spectators find the new arrangement sterile and joyless. How certain players bemoan the lack of drama in those nail-biting in or out calls. And how 2 determined English students took to the streets in mock line judge uniforms, proudly holding protest signs reading, "AI took my job." The real question is, does this shift herald a brand new chapter in tennis technology, or does it strike at the very heart of a sport's most cherished rituals? In today's script, we will journey through 4 major talking points. First, the sweeping gesture of removing dozens of the sport's most recognizable faces, men and women who have crouched, focused, and barked calls from the baseline. Second, the brand new electronic line calling, sometimes shortened as ELC, system. Armed with hundreds of cameras, these mechanical eyes track balls with uncanny precision out on the court. Third, the surprising wave of nostalgia that has enveloped longtime fans, many of whom are lamenting what they contend is a loss of tennis soul. And finally, we will examine the social shockwaves that come with the thought of more widespread displacement by artificial intelligence, made visible by outraged signs and costume protesters outside the grounds of the All England Club, worried that sports officiating is only the start. So, let us begin. Picture one of the greatest showmen of tennis, John McEnroe, ranting at a line judge, nearly bursting with frustration as he yells, "You cannot be serious!" Indeed, for decades, a piece of Wimbledon's undeniable charm was in those tense moments when players and officials locked horns over a matter of inches. The line judges, donned in immaculate shirts, trousers, and petticoats, have been as iconic as the ivy-covered walls that enclose the courts. The hush of the crowd, the crack of the racket, the neatly clipped accent of an official calling out. These were the ingredients that conjured Wimbledon's unique mystique. And yet, in the last few years, we have witnessed a subtle metamorphosis. Back in 2007, line officials began to share the workload with newfangled challenges and replays. A shot hammered down the line might be called out, but the player could raise a finger, challenging that verdict, prompting umpire and crowd alike to fix their attention on a big screen scoreboard. The air would tingle with excitement, building to a crescendo of ooh as an animated replay traced the ball's path and delivered the incontrovertible truth, in or out. These replays were triggered sparingly, and the line judges still had their roles as the primary guardians of the lines. But as the years progressed, technology grew faster, more accurate, and more confident, culminating in a decision that has taken center stage this Wimbledon. Full reliance on electronic line calling, no more uniformed officials at the chalk. For the casual observer, it might seem a small thing. The lights on your phone or laptop blink, the system announces an odd beep, and the call is made. But for fans and players who come to the All England Club for that tradition-laced environment, the effect is monumental. The iconic walk of the line judges at the start of each match, where they solemnly took their positions, bridging the old world with crisp suits and unwavering posture, has vanished. In their place is an array of more than 450 cameras installed around every corner of the court. They track the ball with alarming precision, feeding data to a system that instantly determines whether the ball has gone beyond the line. The final call emerges from the on-court speakers in a mildly robotic voice that some players find too soft. The official ruling is absolute, removing those dramatic challenge moments that once sent stadiums into collective gasps of anticipation. This shift has stirred hearts and tongues among those who attend. Some say it is no big deal, just the next logical step in ensuring fairness and efficiency. But for others, it is as though an entire page of Wimbledon's storybook has been torn out, replaced by silent electronics. "It was part of the joy," said one longtime spectator, reminiscing about the thrill of seeing the line judges marching onto the pristine grass in their formal uniforms. Another fan asserted that it is good to see forward-thinking procedures, especially if it eliminates human error, but insisted that something intangible has been lost all the same. The once crowded lines now look empty, almost naked. Without the presence of the line judges, the entire stage feels changed. Players themselves are hardly of one mind. Some relish the streamlined system. They love the clarity and speed with which calls are delivered. No longer must they question human eyes that might be tired or occasionally overruled by a replay system. Now, the call is the call, full stop. You have to keep playing, no matter how doubtful you might feel about what your own eyes told you. But others, like American 12th seed Frances Tiafoe, see it quite differently. No fanfare. No building tension when a challenge screen lights up. The entire crowd used to roar or groan as the replay inched closer to the line. There was a communal sense of drama that has been neatly packaged away, replaced by an automated voice that says, quite blandly, "Out." Tiafoe lamented that even if he hits a serve that looks in, the system's call is final. There is no more sense of building suspense, no reason to crane your neck toward the scoreboard. The pageantry of a challenge has been streamlined out of existence. Of course, let us not forget the more direct victims of this modernization spree, the line judges themselves. While they have not been fully ousted, some remain as match assistants, ready to leap in if the system fails. It is clear that the days of dozens of them neatly arrayed on every court are gone. With every shift in technology, we see a ripple effect throughout the workforce. That brings us to one of the more striking images from the current Wimbledon, the protest. Two English students, Gabriel Paul, 26, and Harry Robson, 27, stood outside the All England Club gates, outfitted as line judges. Holding signs with bold lettering that read, "AI took my job," and "Don't sideline humans," they cast a sobering light on the wider fears. If artificial intelligence can so easily replace a job that demands human vigilance, skill, and unwavering concentration, which jobs are next? That question resonates beyond tennis and sports officiating. Already, we see artificial intelligence creeping into everything from self-driving cars to financial reports. Are the tribulations of line judges a signpost for how society at large might adapt, or fail to adapt, to a technology that can replicate more and more of our tasks with each passing year? The majority of fans cheer for consistency, for fairness. Some have argued that the removal of human errors is a triumph for sports. No more anger at a possibly biased official. No more heartbreak when a critical call goes the wrong way. But a wave of unease also looms. Jobs in other sectors, from transportation to journalism, could face similar displacement. Is that something to celebrate, or is it a cause for urgent reflection? Enjoying this exploration of Wimbledon's modern face-off between tradition and cutting-edge tech. If you find these details compelling, the roars of the crowd replaced by hushes, the once beloved line officials ousted by dispassionate cameras, then give us a quick acknowledgement of your approval. That little gesture, a thumbs up, might seem small, but it encourages us to keep bringing you more captivating deep dives into the greatest dramas of the sports world. Let us proceed deeper into the hearts and minds of those most affected. A tech worker named Marie lamented the missing energy and drama. She recalled how the audience used to be fully invested as the giant screen zoomed in on the flight of the tennis ball, deciding whether it had brushed the line by a fraction of a millimeter. That neuronal jolt of tension, heightened by the knowledge that an actual person had made a call, was part of the communal experience. Now, there is no building crescendo. The call arrives, definite and non-negotiable. Where has the romance gone? On the other hand, many modern tennis enthusiasts ask, was it ever truly romantic when players would erupt in fury at line judges' calls, sometimes hurling insults or questionably angled glances? Did we not all celebrate the advent of replays in the first place, precisely because it offered a final word on the unavoidable fallibility of even the best human eyes? And that leads us to a fascinating philosophical quandary. Are sports about athletic precision and fairness above all else, or do we enjoy them for their colorful human dimension? The capacity for error, that messy unpredictability, can sometimes spark an enthralling storyline. Take a moment to reflect on the sensory experiences that once defined Wimbledon. From the bright greenery of the courts to the crisp white uniforms of the players, from the gentle pop of a tennis ball bounding off a racket to the resonant cry of "out" by an official standing mere feet away. Now, those calls are piped into the arena by on-court loudspeakers, but apparently the volume is less than ideal. One player even complained that she could hardly hear the calls correctly and asked if the referee could raise the volume. The response? A sheepish assertion that the system's settings were not adjustable on the fly. If you love data, consider the scale of ELC's takeover. More than 450 cameras have been strategically placed around the grounds, ensuring that every line is meticulously monitored. The cameras feed into advanced software that tracks the ball in real time, analyzing speed, spin, and trajectory. The verdict emerges from an almost invisible network of sophisticated processors. For some, it is enthralling to see how far we have come, harnessing technology for optimum accuracy. For others, it is a sign that we are inching towards a time when the entire officiating process, from line calls to on-court decisions, could be fully automated. It is worth noting that not every line judge has simply walked out of the All England Club, never to return. Some are still present, rebranded as match assistants, on hand in case the electronics glitch, which, let us be honest, does not happen often. Yet, it is clear that the glamour of being an official at one of the world's most prestigious tennis venues has dwindled. The scoreboard no longer relays decisions that pit official calls against mechanical replays. Instead, the mechanical ruling is the official call. No more exhilarating replays, no more tension, just the final beep and the subdued word, "out." Still, some remain staunch supporters of the old ways. Did we ever truly hate those moments when a player lost his or her temper at a disputed call? Even a meltdown by a star athlete sparked conversation and colored the match with raw emotion. Without that friction, are we losing a fundamental piece of the spectacle? Then again, perhaps you relish a perfectly judged game and prefer not to witness meltdown theatrics overshadowing the raw brilliance of tennis skill. In this sense, the ELC system is tailor-made. It eliminates quarrels, speeds up the game, and leaves little room for confusion. Fascinatingly, the All England Club itself has projected unwavering positivity about this transition. The tournament's operations director lauded it as a huge success, revealing only that a few players had asked about the volume of the calls. There might be teething problems, but from the vantage point of the organizers, the modernization push is unstoppable. Indeed, it seems plausible that new technologies could address the concerns about volume levels or the monotony of an automated voice. If fans miss the old style, some wonder if future systems might add a bit of flair or variety to how calls are made, perhaps a selection of distinct voices, or a brief fanfare reminiscent of the old challenge system. But is that not just a further entrenchment into simulated tradition? Stepping outside the court into the world of everyday tennis lovers, you will find those who maintain that this is an absolute must for the progression of the sport. They see the X-line judges as nostalgic remnants of an era that also included wooden rackets and net posts fashioned out of actual wood. In other words, the game evolves, and so do the tools we use to play and officiate it. The tennis ball itself has been refined over the decades to optimize bounce and speed. The courts are groomed with state-of-the-art equipment. So, they argue, why not let the officiating reflect the best technology available? And yet, if we zoom out from center court's luminous facade, we see a broader conversation about how technology intersects with tradition and culture. Those worried about machines making jobs obsolete could be pointing to a world where entire industries are replaced by algorithms. It is more than just a line judge issue. We see elements of it in banking, self-checkout machines, and even automated fast food ordering. So, it is not surprising that two students, Gabriel Paul and Harry Robson, who are not even line judges themselves, put on line judge uniforms to call attention to the bigger fear. Are we heading into an era in which our own skill sets as humans become disposable? It is a chilling question, but also a galvanizing one. Some might say, rather than fear it, we should find opportunities. Indeed, the act of handing line judging responsibilities to a machine also frees those individuals to pursue other roles, possibly ones that demand a specifically human touch. Could these X-line judges move on to become coaches, scoreboard operators, or even data analysts working alongside the mechanical systems? Currently, approximately 80 match assistants remain on staff, primed to intervene if the system malfunctions. But one can only imagine how infrequently they get the call to step in, given the advanced technology. Perhaps we are at only the beginning of a new era, in which the symbiosis of man and machine finds some equilibrium. Technology also invites a conversation about speed. Fans once complained about how long matches could stretch, with repeated challenges and arguments. The ELC system leaves little room for argument. The match goes on, briskly progressing from serve to serve, from volley to volley, and eventually culminating in match point. Purists can appreciate that the game remains about skill, not about theatrics. Others retort that theatrics are exactly what can make sports so riveting. Without the small but meaningful drama of waiting for a replay, we risk losing the intangible spark that binds fans to the moment. So, is Wimbledon truly missing something now that AI has claimed the line judges? From the vantage point of certain players, yes. For instance, the charming spontaneity of hearing a shouted "out" has been replaced. A Chinese player, Yuan Yue, lamented how quiet the calls seemed, even requesting a volume boost. It showcases a surprising side effect. Even professionals need those loud calls to anchor their instincts, to know when to stop chasing a ball. And if it is too quiet, that second guessing can creep in. Meanwhile, another group of players might find it beneficial, not having to rely on officials whose lines of sight might be blocked or flawed. The surety of a digital call might be comforting. That brings us to the complicated notion of tradition in sports. Beyond tennis, we have seen controversies in baseball over instant replay, or in soccer with goal line technology and the video assistant referee. Each time, a wave of grumbling arises about the lost soul of the game. Then, after a while, acceptance sets in. People come to appreciate the fairness, or at least they become used to it. Could it be that we are simply at the tipping point, the moment of maximum friction, where novelty clashes with legacy? Perhaps in 5 years, tennis fans will wonder how we ever tolerated uncertain calls from humans. Or, conversely, we will see a future where fans pay a premium ticket price to watch retro tournaments featuring line judges dressed in old-fashioned uniforms, just for the nostalgia of hearing them call points by mouth. If you are fascinated by how sports traditions clash with new technologies, consider following us for future explorations. Our dive into these topics does not end with tennis. There is a whole landscape of stories where the relentless march of innovation meets age-old rituals. We love shining a spotlight on those crossroads, and your subscription means you will not miss a single volley in this ongoing narrative. In the end, Wimbledon remains Wimbledon. Grass is manicured to perfection, and champions still battle through best-of-5 sets. The hush before a serve, the polite applause, and the occasional shout of approval are still there. The difference is that a piece of the tapestry, the line judge, has been replaced by metallic eyes and digital voices. For some, it is heartbreak; for others, progression. For the wider public, it is a moment of reflection. If such a storied institution can so swiftly adopt these changes, how soon will the rest of the sports world follow? And how quickly do we adapt to a future powered by AI? Perhaps the greatest irony is that while the mechanical calls are final, the debate they trigger is far from over. In that sense, if the old drama rested in whether the ball was in or out, a new drama emerges. Are we losing the humanity that made tennis a living, breathing spectacle? Or is humanity freed to focus on the art of the game rather than the tedium of officiating? Take a look at the vivid scene outside the gates once again. Two young men, worried about job markets, wearing line judge uniforms, brandishing signs about AI replacing them. It is a comedic sight on one level, but also a microcosm of a huge cultural question. Is this just the beginning of a wave that will reshape our world, job by job? The All England club staff's polite reaction underscores that they understand these concerns. For now, the tournament is pressing forward contentedly, reassured by the near-flawless performance of the ELC system. The focus remains on the players, the matches, and the pursuit of greatness, while a decades-old tradition quietly fades into memory. So, what do you think? Does the vantage of near-infallible technology outweigh the intangible delight of human presence at every corner of the court? Is this evolution unstoppable, or might there be a renaissance for line judges one day? We have stepped onto a path of transformation that tennis, and possibly many other sports, cannot easily reverse. While we can debate whether something precious has been lost, it is hard to argue against the new system's precision and efficiency. Not everyone is mourning, of course. Some fans rave about how fast matches now proceed, praising the total clarity of on-court calls. And the X-line judges, though in smaller numbers, remain near the net, waiting in the wings if a glitch arises. We have not reached a future of tennis with zero human involvement. Instead, we stand at the threshold of a synergy, albeit a synergy that tilts heavily in favor of the electronic half. This tension between romantic tradition and technological ascension makes for riveting storytelling. Centuries from now, sports historians might laugh at our current anxiety, or they might look back with an odd tenderness for the days when tennis calls were entrusted to real, breathing people who sometimes blew it, but who also sometimes brought a rush of heated emotion to the stands. Regardless, the transitional moment is always the most dramatic. It forces us to question our attachments and our readiness for what lies ahead. If you stayed with us through this entire journey, let yourself savor the realization that sports, in a sense, mirror bigger societal shifts. Once we open that gate to technology, the old guard can vanish almost overnight. The next time you watch a tennis match, pay attention to those silent corners. Where line judges used to monitor every bounce, you might spot a sleek camera lens instead. Ask yourself how you feel about that. After all, the heart of sports is not just in who wins or loses, but in the saga that unfolds across the net. Whether that saga is best served by technology or by tradition remains the puzzle.